Hello, and welcome to another episode of Indie Pokemon Decks. Today I have an interesting deck. It's no surprise that uh, Hisuian Goodra VSTAR is a powerful deck. I think recently, while I record this, a list of one of the tournaments was released, and it was one of the few decks that placed in the top 10 or 20. Other than Lugia, that was like every like Lugia, Mew, and then like one of these. And there was a couple of Weezings in there in the top 40. And if you look at it, it's kind of funny. Like, okay, 40, that's nothing. But then there's like another 30 or 40 Lugia decks. So those Weezings outplayed a lot of the Lugia decks. So, I think it's crazy. And I'm just going to go off on a weird tangent here. I think it's crazy if you're going to a big event and you're going to play the same deck as everyone else. Like, you're got to be hoping one of two things. Either you are the best Pokemon player in the room, or you are the luckiest Pokemon player in the room, right? How are you going to beat the deck that everyone else is playing? Like, how are you going to play that and win? I just don't understand that. You might as well go in the back alley and just flip a coin and just do that. Like all the Lugia players should just go every time they play each other, just flip a coin, see who wins. Yeah, except of course if you're like one of the top Pokemon tacticians for the board, right? And there are people that are very good at this. No doubt there are people that are better than others. No doubt that there are people that are at the top tier and really understand how to play and how to win. And it's not all down to luck, but if you're in the middle there, how are you going to distinguish yourself by playing the same deck? So that's one of the reasons why I do this. Like, I'm kind of disappointed there's not a lot of more rogue decks out there that are trying to carve a niche. Everyone just kind of jumps to the same thing, and I just don't see how you'd win with the same thing everyone else is playing. But anyway, let's talk about this card here, Hisuian Goodra VSTAR. I'm gonna trip all over that with my words. Rolling Iron, 200 damage. You need 3 energy, 2 different types. And your Pokemon takes 80 damage less from attacks on your next turn. And it has a nice synergy with itself. It's V-Star power. Heal all damage from this Pokemon. So you take 80 less. So if you get this attack in, your opponent has to do 350 points of damage. And if not, you can heal yourself and they have to do it again. The wonderful thing once it's powered up, and there's the rub. But before we get to that, let's talk about this card in the healing a little bit. Okay, the healing part, obviously, we want to use Crystal Cave, healed 30 damage per turn. And, we want to switch out one Goodra for the other and make sure they're healing on the bench, right, while the other one's attacking. We also want to use Radiant Tsareena, which heals another 20 damage. So we're healing 50 damage per turn, and if we're switching, 1-2 turns, that's 100 damage you're healing. It's going to be hard to knock these out. If you're not one-shotting them, you're going to be in trouble. And with the 80 less damage, it's making it harder for you to one-shot them. That said, how do we power this darn thing up? Because if you don't do this attack, guess what? You don't get that 80 less damage bonus, and then it's just a regular V-Star. Well, I know there's lots of ways, and it's commonly played with Lost Box variations because you can kind of put your pressure on the opponent while you're slowly dumping energy on this. But what if you knock one of these out and you're not really getting the damage you want in Lost Box? So the idea of this deck is, here's another way of looking at this. I thought this was a nice synergy here. Klinklang. When you evolve this Pokemon from your hand, you can pick up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. So basically, all you need is Goodra V-Star, and then to evolve to Klinklang, stage 2. And it's gonna power it up right away. And guess what? If you've got another Goodra on the deck and you have 1 or 2 energy on it already, they're both gonna be halfway powered up. One's gonna be fully, and one's gonna be nearly all the way there. And that's a powerful combination. Like, literally on turn 2, you could have a Goodra fully powered up, full of energy. Which kind of, okay, maybe that's a little better than Lost Box. Okay, you have Cramorant, pressuring your opponent and doing some attacks there. But if you wanted a different perspective, here it is. And this is what I'm going with this deck. This deck feels a little cramped to me. So probably somebody with better deck building skills can find better ways to improve it. But I mean, this is a really nice card, this Klinklang. I can talk about Goodra all you want, but you could evolve and get 3 basic energy onto a Pokemon. That's a heck of a lot of acceleration, energy acceleration. And I always talk about how energy acceleration is the key to Pokemon, right? Like the three pillars of Pokemon the card game forever since I've played it is, energy acceleration, attacking for high damage, and draw. If you can do those 3 things in any meta, you're going to at a high level, you're going to win. There's no doubt about that. It's not Pokemon the card game is not meant for healing or milling or stalling or any other tactics. Those are the 3 things. Yes, I build a lot of decks around the other ones, but to me that's what they build the cards for, right? They're making the cards, and that's what they're building it for. And so those 3 things are kind of the biggest ones. So you could probably use this card in a lot of decks if you think about it. And again, one of the reasons why I like doing this is because it expands your mind, right? You can use this card in other decks where you're like, hey, I'm just not getting the energy out fast enough. How can I do that? Well, here you go, using this ability, Triple Gears. And it can even power itself up, right? So there's a few times you'll get this out and you don't have, your Goodra is mostly charged, and maybe you throw a few on here so you can run a power beam for, attack with a power beam for 130 and do some damage with that as well and have a nice kind of attacker to buy you some time. So there's really not much else to say about this deck. It's pretty, I'm running 2 rare candies. There's standard draw, just Marnie and Avery. I am running 2 Crobats, so this is not an inexpensive deck. It's and a Crobat. Obviously the Klinklang is cheap, and you could figure out good ways to do this. I mean, going back to the paper cannon, you could use this with Alcremie and run a deck that way. We have Big Parasol, of course. So if somebody comes along, obviously the way to beat healing, right, is not to just pour on more damage. I mean, that's one way, I guess, but not really a good way. It's to just knock your opponent out. Well, okay, so if they try to do that, we have the Big Parasol to defend against that. We've got Tsareena here, which is I love Tsareena. This is a great card. It's both draw and it's kind of I'm gonna say Lysander replacement because, I mean, come on, talk to me about this. It says Lysander right here. Why they have to change that to boss's orders? I don't. Whatever. I'm a little bit upset that they did that, but that's fine. But here, Tsareena, you can use it to target your opponent Pokemon. You can use it to draw. It's a synergy card in its own, right? Sometimes you need it for draw, maybe early on in the game, maybe later on in the game, you're using it to target your opponent. And there's really not much else. I have a couple of rods here to get some of this stuff back. And that's it. Again, 5/5 energy of each. It works pretty well. And let's just see how the matches go. All right. I do want to go first with this deck. Oh, yeah. Would you like to go first? Yes, I would. Great lineup, but I think I'm going to put the Klink in the start. If he gets knocked out, it's okay. My goal is to get them to knock out 3 Goodras. They could always target another Klink or Tsareena, but the goal is to get the monster inactive, fully charged, and hard to beat. So, an Avery here. I'm not sure. This. I'm going to get rid of the Ultra Ball. Good draw on the bench. Could go with the Crobat, but we have the Avery here, and I have a Pokégear. I feel like I have enough draw. And let's start getting some energy. I mean, the other thing about this deck, it's kind of funny. Sometimes you just power it up on its own, right? So if it takes 3 turns, my Goodra is going to be there in the active, ready to go and attack. So you don't always need the Klinklang. Nice to have if you're slow and your opponent's slow. Evolution Incense on the first turn. Just planning to. I'm gonna play the Pokégear. Oh man, this is so interesting. I don't want a Marnie because why would you play that? I don't think that really helps my opponent. So, hey, that was not a good play. I'm not going to do anything here. Did not work out as planned. Maybe I should have played Pokégear and gotten the Marnie. But let's see what my opponent does. A little slow start for me. See, if I kept that Ultra Ball, I may have... Well, what else would I have gotten rid of? This has no power. Okay, my opponent's playing me. That's weird. Did he just do that to evolve the first turn and play the Marnie the second turn? This is good. Good. Again, I'm not really getting the Klinklang in. And, you know, I know what you're thinking, like, oh, it's not even worth it, whatever. But you'll see later on in the game, we're going to evolve this guy. And what is he doing? Oh, because he can play other energies. Okay. It's like, why are you playing a dark energy on that? All right, we're going to play the Parasol here. See? I almost don't want a Marnie, but... Oh. I should have switched. Or not. Play this Klink. Use a quick ball here to get Crobat going. I do have a switch here, so I do need an energy to get on him. I need something. I'm just short like one card. That's why I said I kind of feel cramped with this deck, like building it out. I have all the pieces there, but I haven't really found the best way to them align, so. It looks like my opponent is having difficulty setting up as well. Usually it's a lot quicker. Get that. I mean, maybe a Pyakumuku. Using that with Iridia to kind of draw a card. Yeah, my opponent's having trouble. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get rid of this here. I'm going to a Crobat. Before I place him down, I'm going to run the switch. Play this Pokégear. Get fewer cards in my hand. No, I mean, 4 cards should be plenty. 2. I've got enough to attack here. I've got enough to put a Goodra down. The ability to evolve this Klink, and now I'm going to have the second one charged in no time. Deck's really going to start humming here. I think it's pretty much over for my opponent. Let's see. 200. One more attack and he's knocked out. I take 80 less damage. Got my Umbrella. What are we doing here? I feel like I'm playing a deck that's maybe not at its strongest right now. He's had a bunch of Marnies and he hasn't been able to power this guy up. Now I'm going to use his Pokégear and look for Tsareena. That would be nice 3 cards. Here we go. Now he's starting to roll, I think. Artillery. Oh, wait, he's going to... Oh, he can't play the Artillery yet. Okay, so he's going to end his turn. But here's the cool part. Here you go. Yes, I would. And now this Goodra is going to be charged up. 1, 2. Let's do 2 water. There we go. I do have the rods in to get the energy. To get the look at that. You can choose who you're putting the energy on, which is nice. Ability. We'll just put the Parasol on him. I'm going to play a Pokégear. Oh. Boss's orders. We're gonna draw. It's funny, like you kind of want to draw 3 cards, but you know what? When I knock this guy out, I'm gonna draw 3 cards. Opponent's probably gonna quit. Let's try to get this back in. Although playing the Marnie would have been funny because he used the used his Evolution Incense to get the Octillery, so then he wouldn't have it in his hand. I mean, there's just no coming back from this. I just have way too much going on. Even power up this Klinklang. Energy on him. Taking 80 less damage. I can't be knocked out. I don't have the V-Star on him, but still. Actually, that kind of helps me a little bit. And he hasn't knocked anyone out yet, so in theory, I could even build up a 3rd Goodra and wait to evolve this Klink. I don't even have to power up this one. Actually, I'm running out of energy, but the rods will get the energy back if this guy... I don't want to play Marnie. I don't want to play anything else. Attacking. I mean, it's nice. 200 damage. You can't go wrong with this card. Sign soon? This game's going pretty quick. I have to admit, my opponent did right cards to put up a check. He's going to take 1 fewer prize card from this. Do 120 damage to 2. Ooh. Choice. Use this Goodra, that's fine. I can always use this Moisture Star. Know what he's going to attack with. Gale Thrust, it's not going to do anything. Do a heal, use the Moisture Star to heal it. I can even retreat if I have a rod to put the energy back. Do this attack, 120 to 2 bench, but well, I haven't even played my stadium yet. You haven't even seen the healing, although because my opponent's a hard time. I almost want to knock this guy out, but that was actually a good play from my opponent. I have to give him. Do I really want to chase this down? Like going to be more of an attacker. Probably do Crobat and Klink. There you go. I do. Too worried. Don't really have anything to do here. Oh, look at that. The question is, do I play Marnie and give my opponent more cards in his hand? I don't think I will. Keep going. Got to deal with that. If he can't heal this guy or get him on his bench or keep him off, or keep him away from active, I'm going to win. I'm going to do another 200 damage, and it's 3 prize cards. There you go. Right, but what is he going to attack with? See the reason of putting an energy on. Either my 2 Pokemon can knock. Oh, that's nice, getting rid of the Parasols. Can he take advantage of it? Anything here that does like an automatic knockout. Okay, he's going to take the Crobat out, and this game's going to be over in a second. There we go. I think I have it calculated right. I'm not going to play the Marnie. It's nothing to do with Radiant Tsareena. Knock this guy out. There we go. So there you go. I don't really think I showed the full potency of this deck. Unfortunately, it looked like my opponent just had a bad hand. But you can kind of see how hard it is to fight against this deck. And he did have to use like the boss's order and some bench damage to try to knock me out. But you could see that, you know, it's not easy to knock out my bench guys because even some of the stage ones have 140, 130, 140 hit points. Did get the one Klink at 50, but it really was inconsequential. He did go after my Crobat, but he still couldn't deal with the main attackers. And that's something you have to kind of think about sometimes when you're playing, right? You've got a Pokemon with a ton of energy that's doing a lot of damage, and you could go after the bench guys that are weak, but then you still have to deal with that Pokemon that's doing a lot of damage and still has all its energy. And if you can't do that, then really making an easy game. I definitely think you should try this deck out if you want something different. If you are playing Goodra with Lost Box, give this a try. I think this is a nice kind of side way of looking at it. It's fun to play. So thanks a lot. Like and subscribe. See you next time.